Okay, hello everyone. My name is Kyle Shun, and how is everyone today? Because we will be talking about fantasy football and why you should play fantasy football. So, I bet many of you have heard of fantasy football, but aren't quite sure what it is. Probably think it's weird or something, but it's actually a really cool thing. That's what I thought about first. But um, it's a great way to spend time with your friends and just to enjoy the sport that you love watching. Um, Today, I'll be walking through how to draft properly, any tips and strategies that you can use, how to trade, what to pick up or who to pick up, and just many draft strategies that you can use to enhance your fantasy football experience or just to start it. So let's kick off into how to draft. So first, drafting is the fundamental element of fantasy football, and it's really important just to know how to draft because that's how you start it. So first, formats can look different based on what you want to draft, and such as there are many drafts such as snake drafts and auction drafts. A snake draft is basically just picking a player from first to last, and the last player gets the next draft pick because that entails too much power to the first overall pick because the first overall pick can have an elite player compared to the last pick, but then the last pick player can't have another elite player until like the first pick. So that's why it's a snake draft and not just a order draft. There's also auction drafts because auction drafts provide a monetary value and financial gain into fantasy football. So you can bid on players, and how much money you bid, you can win that player onto your team. Preparing is also very important. Paying attention to player rankings, and many use cheat sheets or fantasy football rankings from websites or YouTubers or whoever they must choose. Some successful draft strategies include not just picking top ranked players, but also anticipating other selections and filling their positional needs. So now that we've encountered essential preparation strategies to draft and what a draft is, we'll move on to understanding player selection and team management. So some strategies that you can use is just having positional needs, balance your team by selecting a mix of players, gauging your options, and pay attention to what the roster needs because that can really influence your draft strategy. If your roster is needing a running back or wide receiver, you select the best value of wide receiver or running back available. Also, people have come up with something called a zero RB build, which is basically not picking a running back until late round because running backs aren't as stable and consistent as wide receivers. When talking about boom scoring is like highest ceiling they can reach with their scoring. And usually running backs do get injured often, so drafting handcuffs is very important. Identifying sleepers is also very important because you can draft and pick up low value targets in the draft, which then they can boost their value with whoever you think can break out in the season. An example of this could be a late round rookie draft pick from last year, Puka Nakua, who was not even drafted in most fantasy football drafts, but people took a flyer on him at the last rounds, and they really got their investment paid off because he became a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL and broke many rookie records. Also, avoid injury prone players because this is a big thing in fantasy football, especially this season, where injuries have been just ruining the landscape. So, top picked players like Christian McCaffrey, the running back for the 49ers, the first overall draft pick of this season, got injured, and basically he hasn't played a single snap of football yet. So people have been very sad, and this is why it's important to avoid injury-prone players. So now that we've gone over how to select players wisely, considering factors like player performance. Also you should consider bye weeks because bye weeks is just very important because um, it's something that's not really common in other sports because bye weeks are just a week that certain teams take off. So, for example, this is week 6 of fantasy football. So the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Rams have a bye week, so the players aren't playing. So you would want to kind of play around that don't draft too many people in bye weeks, but also don't spread out your bye weeks because then your fantasy football team won't be at its ceiling. So now that we've looked up on how to draft, what strategies you can use to select the best players, let's transition into advanced strategies to elevate your football game and player statistics. So first, streaming positions like quarterbacks and tight ends. These are docile positions where tight ends and quarterbacks only make up one out of your maybe 11 roster spots. So they're not really as crucial as wide receivers and running backs. So you don't really select that much of them because there's not too many of them that are good. So for this, you could stream. Streaming is basically picking which quarterback or tight end has the best matchup in your lineup, then playing based off that matchup. You can play him even though you drafted him later compared to another quarterback, like playing a Kirk Cousins against the Carolina Panthers defense, besides playing like a top running back like or top quarterback like Lamar Jackson against like the toughest defense in the NFL. So it's really based off matchups. Also, handcuffing, protecting your stars, like drafting the backup for Christian McCaffrey. If you did that this year, then it's important because he's a star player, but he hasn't played a single snap of football yet. So drafting handcuffs and backups are important because they can make up missing value for injured players. In-season trading is very important because in-season trading can help you improve your team or maybe even just help out others, but mostly improving your team. So now that we've gone through advanced tactics and draft strategies, let's go on to conclusion. Conclusion, fantasy football is a thrilling blend of strategy, knowledge, and fun. Understanding the strategies and advanced metrics of it is very important. Also, at the end of the day, you're just having fun with your friends and colleagues or whoever you play with. So grab your friends, grab your coworkers, grab your family, whoever you want to play with, and start a fantasy football league. And hopefully the journey throughout will be filled with excitement and victory. Thank you.